Now, into the ticket office of Disneyland.
Oh boy, let's do this.
Don't think the CIA is going to be trying to hack your second-gen iPod.
I didn't think so. There might have been a lot of illegal music on there. I wouldn't doubt it. But, I mean...
You were supposed to bring death to the flagships, not join them.
Google has found a new way to piss me off.
iTunes is a constant source of embarrassment.
Behind-the-scenes camera crap.
Here, tell us about courage, Phil. Tell us about courage.
I am Nadella. I can't do it anymore without laughing. I was going to do the whole thing. Welcome, everyone, to the Calling All Platforms podcast. I am your host, Wes, and I'm here with Landon.
Hello.
And we're only doing duos today.
Yeah.
Because Caleb, he's off doing his own thing, you know.
Again.
Family or whatever he's doing, you know. Which, why not? It's almost the end of summer. You got to do stuff with the family before school gets in, right?
He's got to save his voice for when the new iPhone and stuff comes out in September, so he can't talk until then.
That's what it is. He's saving the voice of frustration or happiness. That's the mystery.
That just depends on if AMD or NVIDIA or any of those guys have something coming out.
True. That's kind of like, so you got, you know, anything for Apple, you know, that's the cake, but the icing, that's like the NVIDIA, you know, stuff like that. So, well, we're not here to talk about Caleb. We're here to talk about tech this week. Well, let's get into it. We're gonna shuffle things around a little bit how we do this on this episode. We're gonna try and do something a little different. So you're gonna go on a journey with us on this one, dear listener. So if it seems a little different, it is. Got no excuse for you. But all right, we're gonna get into this. We're gonna actually start off in talking about Apple today. Shows here, we got the iOS 17 beta fix to live voicemail.
Yes, so I did finally, listener, get an opportunity to test out the live voicemail feature in iOS 17. And because I've gotten a few phone calls where people actually left me a voicemail, not just spam calls, because those are dumb. These were actual phone calls. And I noticed this, and apparently other people have noticed this as well. So initially, like I didn't know what the prompt was that people were given when they would call and get a voicemail. I assumed, based on what Apple was showing, that it was just going to be your regular voicemail, and then they would leave a message, and it would just give you a transcription of what they're saying as they're doing it, you know? That's kind of what it looked like at WWDC this year. But apparently it's not quite like that, because the voicemails that I got initially, like one of them was, no, they didn't talk for a few seconds, like probably a good 30 seconds. It was just nothing. And I'm like, did they actually leave a voicemail? It's showing that like iOS voicemails does show you a transcription of the voicemail when you go to look at it. And it showed there were words. I'm like, when did they start speaking? And then it was like, oh, I've called you for this reason or whatever. And then they stopped for a second. Is this a trap? They actually said that. I'm like, wait, what? And then they hung up. It was weird.
Is this a trap?
And then another person called. They're like, well, I called you to talk about this or to ask about this. And then about 30 seconds go by. Hello? Hello? And then they hung up. I'm like, what is with these voicemails? So I got my wife's phone and I called my phone just to see, okay, what are these people hearing that makes them leave this type of a voicemail? And what it would say, like, so you call the person and it gets either sent to voicemail or just rings until it gets to voicemail. And it says, after the tone, please say why you're calling. The person you were trying to reach might pick up. And then it leaves a tone and then like, that's interesting. But apparently, yeah. and like, if I were to get that, I'm like, what? Strange. But, and obviously other people thought that. And so some other beta testers mentioned that in like the feedback app inside of Google or inside of iOS during the betas, they mentioned that this was confusing people who called them, which makes sense. It confused the people that called me.
Yes.
So this latest version of the beta 5, has now changed what that prompt is. It is now basically what it was before. It says, your call has been forwarded to voicemail. The person you're trying to reach is not available. At the tone, please record your message. You know, makes sense.
It does. It was funny because you were saying that, and I'm like, that's literally what my Pixel does, except like in the voicemail, when it leaves me a voicemail, like if they said something, it actually, in the voicemail, it will, or say like I didn't pick up, then it's like, hey, this, I'm an assistant for this Google, I can't remember what it is, but it actually has me listen. I can hear what my assistant is saying to them, and they say whatever, and then, it'll be like, well, they're not available right now, so bye. But it actually shows me, but that's kind of funny that with the voicemail, I'd be like, what?
Yeah, well, the way it works on Android is it's not necessarily leaving a voicemail. It's actually like the assistant can answer the call for you and ask a few questions, and then you can decide to pick up if you want. And I've used that a bunch on Android. It was great. This is a little bit, it's using the same technology, but it's doing it in a different way. It was just the way that they prompted it before, obviously, was a lot more confusing than what they're doing now, which makes a whole lot more sense.
Yeah, it does it in the voicemail part too, actually, because I have a few voicemail messages from whoever. It actually will start with that and then their message, but it will only translate their message on the translate. So that's interesting.
Yeah. So I'm glad that they fixed that. That is something that obviously it's like, and it makes sense. I'm like, yeah, that would confuse people, especially.
Is this a trap?
Especially.
Could that be the title of this week's episode? Is this a trap?
Is this a trap? Yes, that's a good title. But yeah, it's like, if you don't know what live voicemail is, like most people are not tech people like us. They get a new update to a phone. They're like, okay, there's a new update. What they do? They don't know all the features that are available. So it's like, and even if they see, oh, there's a thing called live voicemail. I thought that we already had that because it gave us a transcription. No, this is different. And if they don't know what that is, they're going to make a phone call. I'm like, what the heck did I just listen to?
Yeah.
So I'm glad that they changed it. It makes it a lot more, normal for people calling you, trying to leave a voicemail. And it will be probably confusing to that person if you all of a sudden pick up while they're leaving a voicemail, because that hasn't normally been a thing since people had landlines, because you could do that back in the day, listener. That, you could, if someone is leaving a message on your, house phone that was on the table, you could pick it up and talk to them as they were leaving a message. You could, You've never been able to do that with cell phones until now. But yeah, so that's nice. Nice little update to iOS 17. So that's the Apple news, I think, that I've got for this week.
Yep. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I mean, is this a trap? I don't think I'm going to get over that for the whole episode. Just
so what it was is I've been looking into getting some solar panels for my house. I went onto this website and I thought, okay, I'll enter this information and they can give me some. I thought that I could get some sort of information. No, they want to call and set up an appointment. I'm like, oh, freaking heck! So they got my number and they called me. And they're like, I'm calling because someone was asking about information about solar panels, and then it sat for a few minutes. Hello? And then very quietly, is this a trap? And then they hung up. It was so funny. I had to laugh really hard at it.
That's awesome. That's pretty good. All right. Well, that's pretty much the Apple news that we have. We are talking about in our notes here. So we're gonna go ahead and move on to some Google news here. It looks like Lennon wrote on here, we got an unknown tracker detection.
Yeah. So back at Google I/O, they announced that Google and Apple had partnered together to make it so if someone leaves an AirTag on you and they want to use that to track you, it will alert you that there's an AirTag that's not associated with you, whether you're on iOS or Android, and so you can do something about that. And so that's a nice feature. But it has now been, Google has enabled that on all of Android phones. So that is now available. So what happens if this if you get an alert that there's an unknown tracker near you, it'll pop up and say, hey, there's something there. Or you can go into the safety and emergency menu, and I'm assuming inside of settings, and you can check if any trackers were near you or whatever in the past 48 hours, or you can manually scan for unknown trackers inside of there. And then if you get a notification or if you find one manually, it'll give you the option to actually ring the tag that's there, so you can actually find it and discard of it or do whatever with it, Now, that being said, I would only do that if you get one of these notifications and there's nobody else around you, that it could just be their tag. Like if you're on a bus or a subway or something, you might get this notification just if you've been on it for a while and someone else has also been on it for a while and they have an AirTag attached to them. So just keep that in mind. But if you get one, like if you're at home and you get an AirTag notification saying that this isn't associated with you, then you can choose to ring it, have it ring out loud so you can find it more easily, and then be able to do something with that. And currently it is only available for AirTags. It does not work with Tile devices at the moment. But, I mean, AirTags have kind of blown up in the market just because it's Apple and they're relatively inexpensive and easy to use. So, just
gotcha.
I do believe they have plans to partner with Tile, but at the moment it's not doing that yet. But it's a nice feature. It's a good safety feature for people out there.
Yes, it is.
But that is rolling out to Android users. It may not be available on your phone yet, listener, but it is rolling out right now. So that's nice.
Yeah, I'm looking at it on mine. I have the Pixel 7 Pro, and it's there.
Yeah. So that's cool. The other Google news that I have has to do with RCS. So this is basically Google's version of iMessage, kind of. It's a better, safer way to text people rather than using SMS, and it's been available to use on Android in the Google Messages app, like the default Messages app on Google.
Mm-hmm.
But it's had to have been enabled by the user in order to use it. But now Google said that they are enabling this by default for everyone that uses the Messages app. So that makes it so you can get the read receipts, or if people are like if they're typing, it'll give you the dots or whatever. You can get reactions to those messages. It's very similar to what you get inside of iMessage on iOS, but it's Google's version of that. But this is going to be enabled by default for all message users. And if you have previously gone in and enabled it and then disabled it, it won't be re-enabled, because if you've disabled it on your own, it won't. Google is going to still allow that to be the case, and you still can go in and re-disable it if you want, but I don't really see why. It makes it's like I said, it's safer and better to use, and it's using, instead of like SMS texting uses like text messages through your service.
Yeah.
This is using Wi-Fi or data to do. So it also makes it so you can send pictures over text message and you actually get a decent resolution picture in return, rather than if you send a picture over SMS, you get this blurry thing that is supposed to be a picture of something, but you don't know what it is because it's so blurry. Also, they've made it so end-to-end encryption is available inside of group messages inside of Google Message. So that is nice as well. So that's a nice new little feature. That one also is rolling out, so it may not be there right now for you, user, if you're using Google Messages, but it will be rolling out in the next week or so. So just keep an eye on that. If you haven't already enabled RCS, it will be enabled here shortly. So very nice.
It is. I actually enjoy it quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean,
I have enabled it.
I remember when on my Pixel, I enabled RCS because I wanted all the features. It's really nice.
Yeah.
It's,
it is.
it's cool. So, and now you don't have to worry about whoever you're texting to also have it enabled because it should, if they're using the default messages app, which Google Messages is the default messages app on Android, even on Samsung nowadays. Like Samsung made that the default messages app instead of their own that they had forever. Finally, they went with the default Google one. So if you're messaging someone on iOS or on Google, you should have all these reaction features and stuff like that ready to go. That is nice.
Sweet. That is nice.
Yeah. And that is all my Google news.
Okay. Awesome. Well, let's go ahead. Let's move on. We're going to get into some general tech, I guess on there, but actually it's kind of more general subscription, I guess we can say. Because, I mean, everything's a subscription nowadays.
It's true.
Or an app or something. But let's get into this. Disney Plus. How the mighty have fallen. No. Disney Plus, they've lost a lot of subscribers, which means they lost a lot of money. Also, they're going to have a new price on their Disney Plus stuff. So, long story short, we're going to have a price increase starting in October. Let's see, I think the biggest one right now is just the Disney Plus Premium. Said it's going to rise from the $10.99 to $13.99, and so everything's rising about $2 to $3 on this, whichever prescription you have. It's pretty much what that is. So, yeah. Also, with all of that said, they decided that they were going to take a look at how Netflix did with their password sharing, and apparently Netflix has been very successful, and so with their password sharing. So Disney Plus is going to take a look at that and sometime in 2024. And if you don't remember, listener, what the Netflix password sharing thing we're talking about, we had mentioned it quite a few times. One, because, Landon, he was sharing Netflix with someone, and
it's true.
And he can't have Netflix anymore because he didn't want to have the person's account pay more for what? I can't remember how much was it. $5?
$8 a month more.
$8 a month. Oh, yeah. So apparently what had happened is they just got tired of the password sharing. That's pretty much what it was, and they wanted more money. What
it is, they just want more money. Because I remember years ago, Netflix shared a post online saying something along the lines of "love is sharing a password." It's like, oh well.
Well, that was during the whole pandemic, and so they were just like, oh, just share your password. So we did, and now they took that away.
Yep.
But Disney's looking at that as well. So price increases in October for all the different packages, as well as the password sharing in 2024. So fun.
Yeah, fun. That's the word.
So get if you're borrowing the password, get all your shows in quick. Watch your Ahsoka and watch all the stuff that's coming out.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, unless you have anything else, we're going to go ahead and move on.
Nope.
Okay. So the next thing we're going to talk about is Microsoft and, of course, ABK. It's kind of quick, actually. New Zealand, they have approved the ABK deal.
All right.
Fully, without any concessions. So that's another country. I think they said it was like 41 now or something. The last one they're really looking at is that CMA over there in the UK.
They just need to do it and be like, well, until you approve it, no Microsoft stuff for you. Sorry.
Something. I mean, I know. So I think the reason why they're doing it really is they want to appease all regulators because obviously Microsoft wants to buy more.
Right.
So I think they're just trying to appease regulators to be like, hey, we'll play ball because we're also going to buy more. So we'll play ball again type thing. So, because I feel like if they were to just say, screw you, CMA, and then come to the table again with another deal, it might not look so good.
That's fair.
So I think this is why, which I get, but everybody except the CMA wants this to be done. I mean, everybody, shareholders, not shareholders, gamers, tech enthusiasts, podcasters, everyone's like, just let it go through.
Yeah.
So we're getting closer inch by inch. Hopefully, I'm hoping by the end of this friggin' month, at least, they just are like, hey, we're approved, and they can just close, transfer the money, and then be done. So
That would be nice.
Yeah, it would be.
Sadly, though, I'm not getting my hopes up. I really want it to happen, but I'm just gonna wait. And
I
I'm
mean,
basically gonna expect nothing to happen until something actually does happen.
I mean, that's really what everyone's gotten to. I mean, we wanted to mention this just because, I mean, it's a big thing. It got approved for the New Zealand, but other than that, it's a waiting game.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. We'll kind of get into more gaming here. We talked about this last time we had recorded. Quakecon. That's an event. It was the 10th through the 13th, so it's ending today, I believe, as we record. Quakecon, basically all things id software. Really, it's kind of like, if you haven't heard of Quakecon, but you've heard of like BlizzCon, it's pretty much that, the developer conference. They talk about all things Quake, Doom, Wolfenstein. I mean, this is where they really get in there. But they also are really big into like just people showing up and just gaming and deathmatch and just blowing each other up. I mean, it's what it is. I mean, they had a couple little announcements. Well, I mean, depending on if you're really big into these games, I would say this QuakeCon was huge for nostalgia. Huge for nostalgia. Because I guess, one of the big things that did come out that even got me going, oh wow, and made me download Quake 2 Remaster.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah. Did you play Quake or Quake 2?
I don't
or just
think
more know of them.
I definitely knew of them. I don't think Quake was one of the games so the games that I used to play a lot back in the day, a lot of StarCraft, and I played Unreal.
Yes.
The first Unreal game, I played a decent amount of that. And those were the big games that I played on a regular basis. Other than that, it was just, Nintendo stuff.
It's true. If there was what would you call it? A competition, not a console war, but a war between games, Quake and Unreal. I remember people were just like, oh, I'm really good at Quake, but you're not good in Unreal. I mean, I enjoyed both, so I played both, but, there was still that rivalry.
Yeah.
But, because, man, those, what do you call them? The fast shooters were just all the craze there for a while.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't have these games myself, but I knew people that had them, and so we'd go over and play, true LAN parties back in the day.
Yes.
And, we had, 6 computers set up throughout the basement of this house.
Yeah.
And we would play Unreal, and that was the game that we played the most, was Unreal, and in that scenario.
Yep.
And StarCraft was another one. So it was. So I didn't really choose the games I played. I just played whatever they had, and that was the one that they chose. So they probably liked that one more than Quake. So that's why I played it.
I think if you played these games, there was no wrong way, just because they were all so big and so popular. I mean, you can even throw Age of Empires in there. I remember doing a couple rounds of Age of Empires, then switching to Quake, then switching to StarCraft, then switching to Unreal, And I mean,
yeah,
so fun. I remember Quake 2 was one of the bigger ones when I started really getting to LAN parties, because we could mod it, and we'd mod Ninja Turtles blowing each other up as Ninja Turtles, or
nice.
Cartman from South Park. just fun little quirks about it. But so what they did is they remastered Quake 2, and they also gave it a bunch of enhancements, so you can actually run it at 120 frames per second on the Xbox Series X and S. I believe that's also on the PlayStation. Also PC, obviously, on there. But they released it on PC, Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo Switch, and Game Pass. So, everything. Nice. And it's cross-play. And they actually made, with this, as well as a bunch of their older stuff, also like old school Doom, things like that. They added new content to all of them, new expansions, if you will, so new levels, new things like that, and deathmatch maps and stuff. So
Nice.
it's it's pretty cool. Like I said, it was such a nostalgia thing because they enhanced a bunch of their old games. They brought out Quake 2 last year. Last time they did QuakeCon, they actually remastered and brought out Quake 1. So here's Quake 2.
Nice.
So it's pretty cool if you want to check it out. Oh, the one thing I thought was really, really funny that I want to try out and I don't know if I can. So on the Xbox consoles, the enhanced version of Quake 2 will support up to 8-player split screen. 8-player split screen. Yes, you heard me correct. 8 players on one screen.
Oh my! Unless you have like a huge TV, that is not going to be a great experience.
you should if you have a picture or take a look at it, listener, as well as Landon. I think there's been pictures of it. You should see if you like. Just I'm sure if you hopped on Google or Bing and just say 8-player Xbox Series XS Quake 2 split screen or something, I bet they'd have something. But I thought that was pretty cool.
Wow, that's
Did you see it?
Yeah.
Kind of crazy, huh?
Huh. I wouldn't call that a great experience, but you know.
I mean, they did it.
Oh.
Also, they did say that Quake 2 Remastered will also include the Nintendo 64 port as well. So if you want to try that too, you can. All these, like I said, are going to be a cross-play. So if you got on the Switch, you got on your PlayStation, you want to just go old school shooter, you can have so much fun. They had tournaments of this where you'd actually play against id Software's team and stuff and playing. So I mean, it's just a big celebration of all id properties. And like I said, they had a couple things where when you'd log into certain games, so like for example, Doom Eternal, you log in, you got a couple skins and little things. If you actually logged into their mobile game, that Mighty Doom, you got a little skin for your Mighty Doom character. It has a little Quake on it. They got all sorts of stuff just in celebration. They even did some Wolfenstein skin packs and things for, I think it was Old Blood. They did stuff for their Rage game, Rage 2. So there's all sorts of just fun things just to hop on, check out the stream, and just enjoy the rewards for all that. So it's pretty cool. I thought it was. So if you want to check out more of the stream, you can hop on YouTube. They've always there. Twitch, I'm sure they've got their VODs on Twitch if you want to check out any of the tournaments or more information on that. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it for Quake and stuff. So on the Quakecon and whatnot. So not too much. I know that later this month there's going to be Gamescom, which apparently we're going to hear a lot of Xbox news as well as Nintendo. Like Nintendo is showing up to an event.
Weird.
Is what they're saying. So I was like, oh, there's some news going to be happening because apparently this is the biggest. This is in one of the articles I read was that this year at Gamescom, this is going to be the biggest for Microsoft at a Gamescom. They were saying. So I was like, huh, something's brewing. Not sure what. It couldn't be that Starfield's going to release next month, but hey. Lots more gaming news, which is so interesting just because E3 is over and we're still getting into these cons. And I mean, everyone's getting back out of the pandemic. So everyone's having their conventions, having everything. So, which is great. Yeah. I don't mind it at all. Maybe Diablo can do something right or Blizzard could do something right for Caleb this time. And he won't rant or anything.
You're
was
asking a lot there.
It's true. I kind of want to see if he has any interest in the new invasion mode, is what they're calling it in Overwatch. It's kind of PvE stuff, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm sure he's probably like, no, I've written it off. But no, it's good stuff. So But really, that's pretty much all I have on gaming. I mean, we're going to have some bigger stuff, like I said, later. Obviously, it's going to be huge when we can finally say, it's approved and Microsoft bought Activision. Yay! And then we can move on from that. All the big games that are coming out and Game Pass stuff, it's going to be pretty big. And we're going to be getting into the holiday season with all the stuff that they're going to be pushing and deals and accessories, all that stuff. So,
Oh, yeah.
more and more news coming. So, Landon, I think we're going to end this episode unless you have one more thing.
Nope, I don't.
Awesome. Okay. Well, dear listener, we appreciate you listening to us this far. I know this was kind of a shorter episode, just kind of how it all went for today for all the news that was happening. But like I said, we'll keep going and record we will be recording every week to bring the news to you. So if you have any questions or want us to talk about something, you can get a hold of us on our social media platforms. You can also get a hold of us on our website at callingallplatforms.com. If you want to check out any of our videos on their YouTube channel, you can check that out as well. All right, dear listener, have a good week.
See ya.
Calling All Platforms is a production of Supporter Sound Studios. To learn more about how you can support the podcast, go to www.patreon.com/callingallplatforms.